Have you ever had a dream, a goal, or even a task so big that you feared failing it? So much that you froze up. You just couldn't do anything. And it's not just that you feared that failure. What you feared was becoming a failure. If you fail at this thing, then you are a failure. That outcome would be tied to who you are, your identity. If you stall, if you overplan, if you wait for that perfect moment, the guaranteed path, life will always stay the same because those things don't happen. You're going to be waiting around forever for the perfect situation to happen. What if I told you there was a different way, a way to disarm that fear, to make that failure not just safe, but useful, or maybe even fun? It all starts with changing the game, changing the game that you're playing, or maybe even beginning to play a game. You see, most of us, we approach life like it is the final exam, one big, huge, high stakes test where one wrong answer would ruin everything. No wonder why we're terrified. But what if you treated life less like that huge exam and more like a video game, right? In a game, your goal is not to die. Your goal in the video game is not to not die or to never die, but your game rather is to explore, to try things, to learn the game mechanics, to see what's around the next corner. When your character dies, you don't cry and declare, "Oh man, I'm a failure." No, you just smile and say, "Okay, well, that didn't work." You smile and you hit continue. You go on to the next life. You play again.
Every moment tests you. Every action defines you. This is the prestigious initiative where mindset becomes muscle and character becomes legacy. I'm Chris Bean, martial artist, coach, and relentless believer in growth. If you're here to sharpen your edge, lead with integrity, and build a life that echoes beyond your years, you're home. You can find the podcast on social media at Prestigious_Pod. You can find me at Chris Bean Official, and the email for the podcast is prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com.
This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean. So today, I teased it already a little bit, but today we're going to talk about how to play the game of iterative living. This is a practical, useful extension of designing your life. That's an episode we did a couple weeks ago. If you haven't checked it out, I would encourage you to do so. It'll help to set this one up. So how can you take that blueprint that we talked about before off the page and start building some real world examples, some real world tests, and putting those things into action without the fear of the whole thing collapsing? So today we're going to cover the player's mindset that I think is crucial for you to adopt. It's a simple, I know it's 5 steps, but it's a simple 5-step loop that you can use from anything in your life, from your morning routine, your career path. It's all about choosing some small, playful experiments that will compound, that will allow you to live a life that is not just productive, but is also fun. Because listen, hey, the ultimate task is to stop trying to solve your life, to live that perfect life, and to start playing your life or living your life with curiosity. And I think that this iterative testing that we're going to talk about here today is definitely a step in the right direction for that. Now, listen, hey, the most important part of the game is detaching your identity from the outcome. Right? See, that's where we were stuck at before. We had your identity was tied to that potential to fail, right? You didn't even want to do the task because, oh man, if I fail at this, then what am I? That means I must be a failure, right? So we want to detach your identity from whatever the outcome might be. Let's install a new operating system for yourself, the player's mindset. This one has 3 core rules to really build this out and make this something, okay? Rule number 1 is to detach your identity from your outcome. Again, this is the most important rule of the whole game. All right, we're talking about your life as a game here. So when I say game, I'm talking about the life that you're living, the life that you're playing. You are not your failed experiment. You are not your failed past. right? Whatever happened in the past ended. It's done. Leave it. Right now, you are a player running some experiments. When a test doesn't work, you don't say, I'm a failure. You say, well, that didn't work. What can I try again next time? And you hit continue, just like you do in the video game. This is the difference between being crushed by all of the history that came before you and that potential to fail on the next step, right? This is the difference here. And it's about changing from that kind of crushing potential to fear, that failure. It's about changing from that to becoming curious about it. Rule number 2 is to cultivate radical curiosity. This is your fun button, right? Being curious, being questioning about all the things. So think about little kids, especially like 3 and 4 year olds. They have so many questions throughout the day because that's how they're learning. That's how they're able to interact with the things around them. They're so curious. So start asking yourself some playful, almost ridiculous type of questions about the mundane things that you do in your life every single day. Think about the way that you start your day. What is it about that you can change? How would this look if it was easy? How would it look if Henry Ford would you have to approach washing your dishes? He'd probably have invented some kind of assembly line maybe he would have just bought a dishwasher. But anyways, if you had a chance to make this task fun, whatever that task is for you, if you had a chance to make that task fun for a 10-year-old, what would it look like? What would you change to make that task fun if a 10-year-old were to do that? It's not about being silly for no reason. It's about forcing your brain to move out of that well-worn rut that it's in. This is how it's always been, right? Try to jump out of that rut and move into some new territory. Rule number 3 is you want to seek out data, not just validation. So the goal of your experiment isn't just to be right. You can try all kinds of experiments. In fact, I encourage you to try all kinds of experiments. Your goal is not to be right. Your goal is just simply to learn. A test that fails but gives you crystal clear results is a piece of data that you will take with you forever, right? Okay, waking up at 5 a.m. makes me miserable and unproductive for the rest of the day. Yeah, I got that exercise in. I got to work out. But man, I was spent for the rest of the day. And so maybe you try that experiment for a week, maybe even 2 weeks. Maybe your body can adapt to it. You can change, you can modify. But if it continues on that, okay, great. That's a massive win. You learned something incredibly valuable. You are not a morning person. You cannot wake up at 5 a.m. to get that workout on. You need to try to figure out a different path, a different way, different time in your day in order to accomplish that for yourself. And listen, failing at that, learning that doesn't work for you is a far better outcome than some vague definition of success that you cannot replicate. Now listen here, with this mindset, you want to be locked in. You want to be ready to play, right? So those 3 core mindset shifts that we just talked about, those lock you in and they get you ready to play. I talked about it before, but there's a 5-step gameplay loop. This here is that gameplay loop. Okay, step number 1 is you want to choose your quest. This isn't a hypothesis. Look at your life and the designed one, the one that you're living. We talked about that before, the one that you're building. Pick a small, maybe annoying part of your routine. It could be your overflowing email inbox, your slow start to the morning, your meal prep, or even how difficult some type of conversations are for you. And ask yourself this question: could this be easier, faster, or more enjoyable? Right? That is the starting of your quest. So you figure out one thing in your day, in your week, in your month, in your routine that is really giving you some troubles. Right? It's so annoying that it takes so long to do. Those are the things that you want to drive in on. Okay? And then you ask yourself that question: could this be easier, faster, or more enjoyable? And that's the beginning of the quest. Step number 2 is you want to research and design the test. Don't just guess. Spend 30 minutes in research mode. Listen, I'm telling you to do some homework. I know you don't want to hear that, but listen, if you don't have the ability to think of new ways to do whatever that task is, then check around, look at other people, ask some other people that you know, hey, how do you do this? Hey, I'm just curious. What does this look like for you? Ask other people, right? Get some input. We encourage you to do it yourself. Think about it yourself. Think about some different ways to do it. But when you expend all of that, when you can't think of what, oh man, I'm just stuck, I don't know. Listen, then ask other people. Do some research. Again, 30 minutes. Do some Googling. Look on social media. Look at other people. How are they doing this stuff? How do productivity experts tackle? Let's do email, right? So how do productivity experts tackle email? How do busy parents streamline their mornings? Find one new method that you think, you know what, that actually is kind of cool. I'm gonna try that. Design a strict 1 week test. 1 week for the next 5 work days, 7 days total, depending on what it is. We're talking about email. You're going to practice that email inbox zero method, right? And you're only going to process email at 11 a.m. and at 4 p.m. Other than that, outside of those windows, you don't touch it, right? There's your task, right? So you got the quest. Man, I spend so much time checking my email. What can I do better about this? Okay, research. Okay, inbox zero. Oh, that's an interesting method. Let's try that. All right, so they do 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. I'm going to, for the next 5 days, next work week, email really kind of corresponds with work time. So next work week, I'm going to do 11 a.m., 4 p.m. And you let all your work colleagues know, and then you go and put those things into action. Step number 3 is you want to define what a win looks like. What are your win conditions? What does success look like in this realm? Be very specific, not, to feel better, but to save 30 minutes of your day that you always spend on your email. Or maybe it's to reduce the morning decision fatigue by laying out your clothes or prepping your coffee the night before, right? Listen, this win method, what does it look like to win? This is your scoreboard. You can't keep playing a game without keeping the score. Somebody has to be a winner. Somebody has to be a loser. Some things are going to work. Some things are not going to work. But you need to define what the parameters of a win looks like for you as you're going on and testing these different things. Step number 4, run the script, collect the data, right? Super easy on this one, right? Commit to that new way for 1 full week. No cheating. I mean, you're going to be tempted to fall back in that old rut, that old way of doing things. Do something new, challenge yourself. If you need to set a reminder to do these things, do that, right? Whatever you need to do in order to stay in that new way of thinking, that new path. Because if you cheat, then you're not going to know what worked and what didn't work, right? You need to know, and then you're going to get some data that we're going to talk about here in a little bit about this as well. So here's the key, is not just doing it. You want to observe it, right? Don't just do it, but think about what's going on as you're doing it. So as it relates to doing these things, you want to be present-minded, focused in the moment. We talked about habits in the past and why habits is maybe not the best way to be thinking about these things, but practices brings that intentionality to it. So we're just kind of coming all round circle here. You want to be observing what you're doing, how it's working. Is it working? Does it work for you? Keep a simple note on your phone. How did it feel? Where did you get stuck? Did this save the time that you were hoping for? You want to kind of be a scientist, collecting that data for your own life. Step number 5, last one, is to review and pivot. At the end of the week, sit down for 10 minutes, review. Look at your data. What worked? What didn't work? And more importantly, should you adopt this? Should you adapt this? Or should you abandon this? Now, I'm going to say that again because I think that is so powerful as it relates to this iterative testing. You're going through, you're trying these different things. Test what works, what doesn't work. Do I adopt this? Do I adapt this? Or do I abandon this? So those are the 3 A's: adopt, abandon, or adapt. I didn't say those right. We're going to try this again. Adopt, adapt, or abandon. So do you adopt this? Do you make this part of your path moving forward? Do you adapt it? Do you change it? Do you modify it some way? Or do you abandon it altogether because it doesn't work for you? Right? So again, that adoption means, hey, yeah, this works. Clear win. Absolutely. Fold it into your life design. Adaptation. Yeah, there's something quite here. It's close. I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to try it again next week. And again, abandon it. Nope, this is not for me. That did not work at all. Now you know it doesn't work. Zero guilt. It's not a failure. You get to choose what happens next, right? Check again, try something different. It's all about trying those little steps. And those little steps, if you continue taking those little steps, and those little steps are going to make huge wins. Not only are they going to make huge wins, but you're going to know specifically for you what works and what doesn't work. And then you can choose your next quest. And listen, this is where all the things start to come together, right? This is where the real magic happens, where you get to really level up. You get to start with one small game, right? Start with one small area in your life that you want to do these testings on. Maybe it's your morning routine, whatever that thing is for you. Test a new method. Does it work? Does it not work? Did you gain any time back? Is this easier to do? Is it more fun? Is it more enjoyable? Whatever the thing is for you. And then find out, right? Then as you're doing that, you find a win in that area. Okay, great. Awesome. Then you launch another game. Maybe it's a whole different domain in your life. Maybe it's you know, we talked about email a little bit. You save some time on email. Now I'm going to use that time that I saved in email, and I'm going to try this focus work technique. I'm going to try the Pomodoro technique. Great. Right? The game that we're playing here is to do these small tests to try to make your life more fun, more productive, more enjoyable for you to live. The game helps you finish, if the game helps you finish a project faster, then it's going to reduce the stress that you have. When you have reduced stress, then you get to be more present for your family, for the people that you want to interact with. Right? Think about that. If you can take that one thing that's so annoying to you, the one thing that you have to do every single day or every week, man, I wish there was some other way to do this. There probably is some other way to do it. Research it out, test, try, see what works, right? This is and this iterative testing type of idea is something that you can do across any domain in your life, even tying your shoes. Listen, there's a couple different ways you can tie your shoes. Pick one. Try this week. Oh man, that was interesting. And it's a challenge. So the cool thing about this is not only is there an upside for the outcome, right? For that win, your parameters to win. You have that parameter to win. Hey, listen, if I win at this, then I save 20 minutes. That's 20 more minutes. I can have this other task that I do, or it's 20 minutes I can fit in my exercise routine, because waking up at 5 a.m. to work out was not for me, but I can fit this in now because I saved 20 minutes through the day. Even if it makes you so that you are more aware, more present, less stressful, that's enough to be trying all kinds of different tests to try to win your day, to excel, to win the game. But if you don't try something different, if you don't think outside the box, then you're not able to do the next thing. You're stuck in the rut, in your old way of thinking. So my big challenge for you is to think about different ways that you can do things. Listen, and the best part about this is these small little tests that you're making, these iterative tests that you're making, they compound. And when they compound, the success, the win metrics on the other end are huge. Huge. They not just build a better process, but they build you a better identity. Because see, you're no longer somebody who's stuck. You're not somebody who is stuck in all these problems, but you are now the person who solves problems. You are the person who's able to think outside the box, to find new ways, new creative ways to do these tasks. You get to be a playful experimenter in your own life. Your notes, the data, the game board showing you how much you leveled up is all the path that you took. That's when you finish the game, you get to look back, man, wow, look at all the things I did. Great. When's round 2 coming out? And then you go through and you do the tests even more. If you can have 2 or 3 of these small games, these iterative tests running at one time in all kinds of different areas of your life, that's where the win happens, right? Start small. Don't try to overhaul everything all at one time. Do a few of these. Kind of get the parameters of what works for you and what doesn't work, some new ways of thinking about this stuff. Then start to stack them. Start to stack them, because listen, then it's not it moves you from a panicked, stressful type of life, or even stressful about that task. And truthfully about what failure is. Because listen, if you can continue this path and you go through all these different iterative tests and you find out what works and what doesn't work, it's not, man, I failed at this, I failed at that. It changes your mindset in totality. You just find, like they say, I don't know that I believe in this, but they say Thomas Edison, listen, hey, when he was asked about inventing the light bulb, hey, I didn't find 100,000 or 10,000 ways to I didn't fail 10,000 times. What I did was I found 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb. That is one way, absolutely, to think about failure. Not just that I'm a failure, but rather, hey, listen, that one didn't work. That's okay. Let's reset. Let's try again. What's going to work, right? Start with that quest. Master the loop, and then you add another one. Now, again, I teased this out already a little bit as well, but your call to action this week, your task this week, before you even finish this episode, so like right now, start thinking about what is your first quest. Think back to that life design. If you listen to that episode again, hugely beneficial. Think back to your life design. What are your core values? What is one tiny, repeatable task that serves you well, but if it feels like there's some friction in that task? What is one thing that you do every day that you might be able to do a little bit better, a little bit easier, have a little bit more fun doing? What in my daily routine could be easier, right? That would be a question that you want to kind of think about. What in my daily routine could be easier? And then again, choose that as your first quest. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to spend 30 minutes researching, thinking about new ways to do that task. And then test. Pick one of those ways and then test it for 1 week. Remember, the goal of this game is not perfection. We are humans. We will always fall short of the perfect example that Jesus showed for us. We cannot be Jesus. We will always fail in that perfect mindset. So don't try for perfect. The goal is just simply to be better than you were, to do that task better than it has been, to have less friction revolved in that task where you're spending that quest at. And the only way to do this is to test, to play, and to iterate. When you fail, and I said when, not if, but when you fail, you haven't lost the game. You've simply found a way that doesn't work for you. It might work for those other people. It might be super good for those other people, but it doesn't work for you, and that's okay. You've collected a priceless piece of data. That doesn't work. Great. Like we talked about, all you have to do is hit continue and then try again. This is how you build a resilient, adaptable, genuinely fun life. It's not by fearing the failure, but by leveraging it, testing all of these different methods to see what works best for you. Not seeking to be perfect, not seeking to have a static plan, but by engaging in a playful, dynamic, curious type of process. So go find your quest. Start playing the game. I'll be here ready to listen when you found that game for yourself. Until next time, stay prestigious.